Hello, ghouls and gamers, and of course, my fellow rejects. Today's video, I'm going to go ahead and show you the Psyker builds that I like to use. Now, just in case you watched my last video, I did try a couple runs with Ascendant Blaze. It is pretty good. It doesn't stack as well with Kinetic Overload as I liked it to. Like, it still stacks with it, but not the way I kind of wanted it to, because if you're already at 4 stacks and then you hit something with Blaze and then it dies from the Blaze, then it kind of does a chain reaction where you get another stack, but you're still at 4 stacks. So now something else, catches fire. The only problem is a lot of times they don't actually die from your Ascendant Blaze. They just, catch fire and then, you kill them, somebody else kills them, a grenade kills them, they go flying off the map, whatever else happens. It doesn't actually end up happening. Same thing with this other ability over here, the Rack and Ruin. Um, I mean, yes, it works, but at the same time, uh, most of the time, if you kill an elite, then somebody else is already shooting around them or throwing a grenade or, whatever may be happening. They don't actually die from the Soul Blaze, so you don't get the warp charges. Plus, it's only 10% on the ones that do die. So it's still not as good as I thought it'd be, but it is better. It's not as good as I'd like it to be, but it is better than I thought it'd be. Um, Most of the time, what ends up happening is you end up using your special, and then you end up getting more warp charge stacks after you have to expend all your warp charge stacks. That part is very nice. That you use your special, and then you still end up getting some warp charge stacks back. So I will admit that is very good. I still don't end up using it. I have two favorite builds that I like to use on my Psyker. I have my staff build, which is the one I use majority of the time, so I'll go over that first, which is pretty much Quietude. I use Quietude on everything. I will say these other two have their uses. Some people like them a lot more. I've had, a few debates with some other Psyker buddies, but Quietude just feels good for me. I always love Quietude. I go back and forth on my peril all the time. Quietude is where I'm at. I use it on both of my builds. Same thing with let's see here, Psychonetic Wrath. I actually use this on both my builds too, although there is an argument to use Rack and Ruin on my second build. But Psychonetic Wrath is definitely on my staff build. I go Quietude, Psychonetic Wrath, Psychic Communion. I love getting the extra warp charges just from things dying, whether I kill them or my team kills them. Extra damage. I go with Kinetic Shield because I like the extra toughness from ranged attacks. I did go with Warp Battery for a while, and honestly, these two are kind of interchangeable. But I feel like on my usual build, I don't actually brain burst very much. I run around with the Surge Staff, and I CC a whole lot, and I feel like Kinetic Flare just works out better for the Surge Staff. It may or may not actually work out better, but for me, I like it better. I like something just randomly dying. Once again, I like getting the free stacks, the free warp charge stacks, because with the Surge Staff, I don't actually seem to need the I don't actually seem to need the 6 warp charges very much. I'm mostly there for CC, a little extra, but these are all just passive damage. Sorry, I don't actually need to brain burst that often. The range is pretty good. It locks them down pretty good. Usually, what I can't kill, my teammates can mop up pretty good. It lights them up like a big giant glowy beacon. So I like that. And then Quicken is the last feat that I use. I enjoy being able to just spam my staff until my brain's about to explode. Hit my ultimate, hit my ability here, go down 50% quell 50% peril. Instantly cooldown gets reduced because I'm getting free stacks from Connect Flare and Psychic Communion, and then I go right back into frying with my staff. So that is build number 1. That's my favorite build. That's the one I use the most often. The second build that I have used and I do enjoy using is essentially for brain bursting. I'm mostly there for taking out elites. Um, I use it more so when I have a few buddies that are more so about crowd control than they are elite killing, and we just need a little bit of help with focusing down those bigger guys. So I go with Quietude on that one too. I just love Quietude. I think it's just the simplest and most comfortable one to use. Um, I still use Psychonetic Wrath on my Brain Burst build, but there's definitely an argument for Rack and Ruin. Rack and Ruin's probably better if you're focusing like majority of your efforts on brain bursting, but I still end up using my staff a pretty good bit even when I'm brain bursting, and I just enjoy the comfort of Psychonetic's Wrath. Um, Psychic Communion's good, but I do feel that I've gotten more uses out of either of these other two, actually. Um, I end up running Psychonetic's Aura just because I like the cooldown reduction on my ability, and you'll see why when we hit the level 30 feet. But I run Psychonetic's Aura on my Brain Burster build. I still run Connect Shield. It's just too good to me. There's a definite argument for doing Mind in Motion, because if you're staying in your Brain Burst a lot, you know how slow you move when you're trying to quell with your when you're trying to quell peril. Kinetic Deflection's always good if you're tanking, but I personally use Kinetic Shield. I do not use Connect Flare. I do use Warp Battery when I am using my Brain Burst. Because when you're Brain Bursting all the time, you're getting stacks all the time. Having 6 stacks it's just easy to get. And then I throw in Kinetic Barrage at the end of it, which is to get more Brain Bursts that take, you know, consume less peril, and they charge faster. There is definitely still a argument for Quicken, especially since you're running Warp Battery. This is just the one that I found to be more comfortable in my Brain Burst build. So here it is. That is the Brain Burst build that I like to use right here. And then when I'm focusing on staves, I change these two. And this one. I change these 3. And this is my most common use. This is the one that I feel the most comfortable in. Is my staff build that I use primarily for the surge staff. So yeah, I hope that helps you out. I hope that gets you at least, a starter build maybe, and maybe you'll find some of these that you want to tweak and use a little differently, but this one works for me. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch y'all next time. And as always, stay swampy.